Welcome back, dear viewers. You're still watching The Breakfast Show live on Nile TV International. It's now time for our first topic of discussion for today, and we're going to be talking about the success of Egypt in hosting and organizing the 27th edition of the Men's Handball World Championship, bringing together for the first time 32 teams instead of 24 teams. And all this, of course, comes despite the unprecedented global emergency of COVID-19, which has brought the whole world to a standstill. But Egypt has been successful in organizing this tournament and in ensuring of the safety of all the players and the delegations and the countries that are visiting Egypt to participate in this tournament. And to shed more light on this topic, we're most delighted to be joined over the phone by Mr. Hazem Askandarani, and he's a sports critic. A very good morning, Mr. Hazem, and thank you so much for joining us on Nile TV International.
Good morning, and thank you very much.
First of all, Mr. Hazem, your comment on the success of Egypt in hosting this tournament, as I mentioned in my introduction, despite the challenges, of course, of COVID-19 and the success that Egypt has achieved in organizing this tournament.
Of course, when we look at the situation of the whole world about COVID-19 and the timing, of course, of this organization, we see that the whole world was passing by the period of the second wave that is pretty harsh. When we look at Europe, many countries, they closed their airports. Many countries, they were unable to participate even and to send their delegations and their teams to participate in this championship, being afraid of being infected by COVID-19. So this was a challenge, especially after the delay of the Olympic Games that had to be held in Tokyo last year, in 2020. So all these challenges really put some doubts on the capacity of Egypt to organize this important championship that occupies actually the second place in popularity in the whole world after the World Cup of football. So Egypt organized everything from the first beginning. We can say that the finishing of the courts, the stadiums where the games or the matches are played, and also the infrastructure. I'm talking about the hotels, about the roads, the courts where the teams had to make their training. The whole organization was very important, and in addition to also the metrics of health to protect the players and to avoid any troubles with the players to catch COVID-19 during the game. When we look at this, we find that a very, very limited number of people infected with COVID-19, and this is due to the perfect organization of the Egyptian government when they created a council of some ministers, important ministers of Egypt, so that they put all the capacities of the state, of the Egyptian state, to make this wonderful success that really across the whole world, the 4 points of the whole world agreed upon the success of Egypt in the organization of this important World Cup. And this opens the door in front of many countries to get the challenge against COVID-19 and organize international championships with the size of and the importance of the Handball World Cup that is organized now by Egypt.
Yes, indeed, Mr. Hazem, so a lesson taught to the whole world that Egypt is capable of organizing a tournament in a successful way, and that shows we're exporting Egypt's image to the whole world in organization and keeping the safety and the preventative measures in place and holding this tournament successfully. Also speaking about the performance of the Egyptian national team, I believe a very impressive performance so far. What do you
True.
think, sir?
Of course, I agree with you totally because actually some of our experts in handball, they were a little bit pessimistic for the results, especially that the names that we faced are pretty important. Let's talk about Sweden. We can talk also about Russia, the Russian Federation, Slovenia. I'm talking about important powers in the world of handball. This was a really challenging situation, especially that, for example, Denmark, Norway were the two sides of the last final. Of course, we avoided them because of our option that we got to choose our group at the qualifying round, but also there were some doubts about our performance and our capacity to get to the main round as we are actually. The performance of the Egyptian team was really above all the expectations. When we talk about victories, and the only match that we lost was against Sweden, and it was really, let's say, a very simple detail. The referees, without mentioning really, without saying that they made it really to avoid counting the goals that we scored. They, for example, during the match against Sweden, they agreed on 2 fouls for the Egyptian team, and this was maybe less than a second before scoring, because we scored twice. And unfortunately, the goals were not agreed or were not scored because the referee agreed on a foul for the Egyptian team. If they were late for a second, the goals would have been scored, and maybe the final result would have changed for the Egyptian team to win the match instead of losing it for 1 goal only. So we see that the level of the Egyptian national team is great. And some people criticize the Egyptian coach that he didn't let our superstar, Ahmed Al-Ahmar, to participate in the 2 first matches. And he accepted his appearance in the 3rd match against Sweden in a very short while. But we realized afterwards that he was saving the power of our star, our superstar, and our captain to the level, the higher level, the upper level, and that what appeared actually during the matches of Russian Federation for a while, of course, against Sweden, and I believe that the superstar of this championship will be Ahmed Al-Ahmar with his great experience.
Mr. Hazem, please stay with us as we're going to be talking further about the top contenders of this tournament and the expected winner of the 27th edition of the Men's International Handball Tournament, but right after the break.
Achievements continue to be made at the new administrative capital, which is on its way to be a world attraction. The sports city at the new administrative capital was constructed on a total area of 92.5 fidans. It is considered one of the achievements witnessed by the Egyptian state under the leadership of President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi, President of the Republic. The sports city incorporates an indoor hall that accommodates around 7,500 spectators. This indoor hall was built in the year 2020. The indoor hall will be hosting the fixtures of Group B. Where the national teams of Spain, Tunisia, Brazil, and Poland compete. It also hosts the fixtures of Group F, where the national teams of Portugal, Algeria, Iceland, and Morocco contend. Wait for us at the Handball World Championship for Men in its 27th edition from January 13th to January 31st, 2021. Watch an Egyptian experience the whole world would talk about. Comprehensive sports development on all levels, upgrading infrastructure to encompass all games, thanks to the political leadership that believed in sports as a matter of national security. Here came the starting point.
Welcome back, dear viewers. You're still watching The Breakfast Show live on Nile TV International, and we're still being joined over the phone by Mr. Hazem Askandarani, sports critic, talking about the success of Egypt in organizing the 27th edition of the International Handballs tournament for men, and we have spoken about the success of Egypt in organizing this tournament, and we have also talked about the performance of the teams and the top contenders. Mr. Hazem, I'd like also to know from you, as we have spoken about the performance of Egypt and some other top contenders, your expectations for the final, as the first round is almost over, and we're moving to the second round. Your expectations for the final and the winning teams, and which team is expected to win this very important tournament kicking off 2021?
Actually, I'm hoping really personally, especially after the great performance of the Egyptian team, that our team will be qualified to the semifinal. And why not the final? And why not winning the championship? Who knows? The differences, if we see the levels of the different national teams, we see that the difference is very little. So maybe for one situation, one coincidence that might happen in one match, this could change totally the results. Of course, when we look at the main powers in handball in the whole world, we're surprised actually by Germany, who started very well, and everybody knows that Germany is the cradle of handball in the whole world. So we see that they started well, but now they're getting down in their performance, and they got some surprises. We got some surprises from the German team when they lost many points that they used to win them easily before in some other championships. When we look at Hungary and Poland, these two old powers, they are coming back now with a lot of strength. Of course, we cannot neglect the most important countries, and actually in the past years, I'm talking about the Scandinavian powers. I'm talking about Sweden, about Norway, about Denmark, about Iceland. These countries, they keep on trying to keep their level and their position on top of the world handball. So we see that the differences are very tight. And that's what gives me the hope that the Egyptian team this year is capable to reach the semifinal without any difficulties. Actually, when we look at the Egyptian team on his way to the quarterfinal, we see that we have Croatia in front of us. If we keep on being on top of our group during this round, or we might face Denmark. Anyway, of course we prefer to avoid the superpowers in the early rounds, and we prefer to wait to face them later. Especially that we managed to beat Croatia before, but the Swedish team and the Danish team are very strong. Especially that the Danish team is defending his title this year. So we hope that our performance in our last match facing Slovenia will be at the height of our expectations and hopes, and we will win. And we hope also that Sweden will not win their last match for us to be on top of our group, so that we could avoid Denmark. If we do that, we still have a very good chance. Bearing in mind the results of Croatia and also our experience facing Croatia comparing to the Danish team. So if we do that, I believe that our chances to reach the semifinal are very strong.
Mr. Hazem, if you can name for us some of the players who caught your eye, or you believe that they are the shining stars in this tournament?
Actually, and let me be very Egyptian this time. Of course, we have many superstars in the Danish team, and in France, in many countries, but really, I'm with my heart with the Egyptian team. Of course, when we talk about Ahmed Al-Ahmar, we see the difference, the huge difference that he makes.
He has achieved several Player of the Match awards.
Yeah, exactly. And when we look at our goalkeepers, they are really great, and we must mention them. I'm talking about Tayyar and the excellent Hendawi. Both, they are really excellent, and I see them two of the best goalkeepers in the whole world with their great performance. They are very fast. They are really awake, and they are always ready to face any hard situation. So I'm really proud of them. When we talk about Sanad, the best from my point of view, and seeing the performance of the different national teams, I'm talking about Sanad. I see that he is the best, from my point of view, the best right wing in this championship. So I believe that at least Egypt will have 5 to 6 players in the best team in the world, really, and by excellence.
Mr. Hazem, also I would like to ask you about the preventative measures and the safety of the player, ensuring the safety of the players and the delegations and so on and so forth. But just allow me for to go for another break. Stay with us, and we'll be back to continue this very interesting conversation.
With pleasure.
From the mermaid of the Mediterranean, Egypt's hand reaches out to the world. From the Armed Forces Indoor Hall in Burj Al Arab, Alexandria, we continue to write a new sports history in the world's Men Handball Championship. The Armed Forces Indoor Hall in Burj Al Arab was especially constructed for the world's Men Handball Championship at a capacity